So you got that client now, good for you. You need to update them, but what do you send them? What if they hate it? What if you hate it? What if it's just not good enough? Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome back to the Art Mentor. My name is Sean. I'm a veteran art teacher and freelance artist. And from my freelance experience, I want to give you a guide for how to update art clients and let you know what's good enough to send to them so that you're going to have an amazing experience together. And it's going to start right now. So let's talk about what do you want. Now, when you're going to be updating your art clients, however much you're going to be doing that, when you're going to be doing that, what you basically want to see is stuff like this. Me personally, as a freelance artist, these are the types of reactions that I love to see. It really encourages me and encourages them as well. What you do not want to see is clients that are laughing at what you're giving them. They're not really sure. They're asking you really specific questions. And therefore, if you are getting those types of reactions, if you're getting a lot of confusions and tons of questions or reactions that you don't want, it is your fault as the artist to fix that. So now let's talk about what not to send. So on the topic of what not to send, what I don't recommend sending. If you're going to be starting out, you're more than likely going to be sending them some type of sketch or rough or line example. So here's one of mine for one that I'm currently working on right now. If I were to send this example to a client, they would probably not be overly impressed unless there's somebody that doesn't look at a lot of art. You're dealing with, and you have to remember this, mostly non-artists here. So they're going to be keying into details that you don't want them to look at right now just yet. So they're going to be looking at things like the face, they're going to be looking at the body, they're going to be looking at the background, they're going to be looking at little elements that you know, because you're an artist, you know that you're going to have to tackle that at some point, but just not right now. If you send this to a client, it's going to be very confusing for them. And that's why you need to be really cognizant of what you're sending them and what type of reaction they're going to produce with the client not knowing anything about you or your process. So let's talk about how to improve your updates so you're going to have great communication and a great working experience. This is typically going to be your first most important reaction that you're ever going to get from a client, because this is going to be when you're going to give them the first glimpse, the first little snapshot of what your overall artwork is going to look like. So on this topic, things that you would want to avoid. Definitely avoid chicken scratchy looking line art where there's just a whole bunch of little scratchy lines, because the hard part for a client is helping them understand every step of your artistic process, because again, for the most part, your clients are non-artists. So they don't really understand the ugly steps that your artwork has to evolve through in order to get to the nice final finished state. When you're gonna go ahead and create any type of a line art, you wanna go ahead and do that through a 3-step process. So your first one, like I showed you previously, and I said definitely don't send this to clients, that's gonna be your scratchy, really rough looking one. It's not anything that most people ever wanna look at. Your second one's gonna be a little bit more refined. It's gonna have a little bit more detailed. If you're gonna do a character, it's probably gonna include things like their armor or their clothing, or a little bit more to do with their face. And then finally, your third layer, this is when you're gonna take the time to really go ahead and go around that, get that clean, try and pull off everything in a single stroke. One of my recommendations, especially for those of you doing digitally, is rotate your canvas a lot. Like, nobody ever really talks about this, but rotate your camera all the time. This is one of the simplest things that I always recommend. Now, one of the major things that I definitely recommend that you do too in the line art phase is that you want to also vary your line weights, like you see me doing here. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add a thicker line weight to the overall silhouette of important characters, important backgrounds, anything where I need to show separation. I'll also do this a lot in like clothing and armor. Just basically, when you give a thicker line weight, it helps people understand and your client understand and read exactly what's going on, where things start and stop. Now, here, let me show you again. Here's what I started out with, and here's what I have right now. Now, this is definitely more readable. I can communicate this better, but it could still be a little better. So this next process is what I call blocking out. One thing that I do above just doing the line art, on top of just like a white or a gray background, is I'll actually go ahead and take my lasso tool in Photoshop and I'll just go ahead and select each individual object. You can go ahead and you can create simple selections and fill it in with just a solid color, ranging from, I typically do a white for the character, the person that I want to be the most in focus, the most important one, and then I'll go ahead and slowly transition that back to gray. You can see me doing that in this artwork as well. So here you can see the line art in this example, and it looks pretty good, right? However, though, there's still a lot of confusions as far as like where characters exist, what's going on with the background. So here you can see how I've gone ahead and I've just blocked out everything and I've added some simple colors. And man, doesn't that punch so much better? Isn't that so much more readable? Judging from the client reaction right here, you can see how this produced a better communication. It's a better result. To show you it again with the first example, so here is what this looks like as just line art. And again, it's pretty decent looking line art, and I've gone ahead and I've also thickened up my silhouettes and everything that I talked to you about before, right? But now, boom, look at that now. This is so much more readable. You can understand how the levels of depth are going on in the background. Now, in this though, I just want to overall say this is not a perfected version. This is not exactly what my light sources are going to look like or anything like that, but this just helps your client, who's again a non-artist, understand your direction. Now, the whole point of this again is to help you communicate better. And you might be wondering like, well, why is this so important? The process of you giving updates is incredibly important for one specific reason, and that is creating confidence. You need that client throughout your entire working relationship together to feel totally secure in the fact that you are going to produce an amazing artwork for them because they have amazing ideas. And this is about squashing doubts, because looking at this from the other end here, you've been given a sum of money, however big or small that is for you right now, but you've been given a sum of money that somebody worked for, and you are tasked with producing something that is really important to them. All of this relates to overall building excitement for the end product, but also every single update that you're going to give them. Now, here's some more suggestions for how you can have amazing interactions with your clients via your updates. So one of the things I'm going to recommend that you do every single time that you're giving a client an update is you should absolutely provide some type of text description of what are you working on. My overall basic advice for this is that when you're going to be giving a client an update, you want to tell them what your focus is, because for me personally, I like to touch around a little bit of everything in every single update, and then I'll eventually start to narrow in on smaller and smaller details. Again, I like to work big picture to small picture. However you work, I definitely recommend that you give your client a text description so that they know very simplistically what to pay attention to. And that's really important because you also want to let them know in doing that what not to pay attention to. What this does effectively is it gives a client your roadmap for how you're going to produce an awesome end product for them. And again, for non-artists, y'all, because most clients are non-artists, then you're going to inspire a ton of confidence into your client, and they are going to feel like they are working with a true rock star artist like you. Now, the next thing we got to talk about is this. Creating excitement for your client and their updates is going to start and end basically with your frequency for how often they should expect it. And this is going to depend greatly on you and your situation here. So if you're just a freelance artist, you can probably knock some stuff out in a few days to a week. But if you're someone like me that's doing commissions on the side while you also have a full-time gig, then yeah, maybe you need to go ahead and you need to take a few weeks. So you need to let your client know basically when they should expect to hear from you and see some progress. So what I'm going to tell you is that you need to plan, communicate, and execute that plan. So how often are you going to do this? Are you going to do it once a week? Are you going to do it twice a week? Are you going to do it every few days? However much it is, what I'm going to advise you on is, first off, if you're going to give your client too many updates, then my friends, I just want to caution you against that, because too many updates is also too many opportunities for them to be confused. It's better for you to work a little bit longer or an extra day or so on an artwork than to just go ahead and give them like 3 or 4 updates a week. If you're going to be doing it once a week, let them know, hey, by Sunday, by Wednesday, I'm going to be going ahead and giving you an update. Hey, I can't wait to give you an update on Tuesday this week. So one of my best pieces of advice I can give you that I've been practicing for the last year is that when I'm juggling multiple clients, never, ever, ever, ever have your update day on the same day for both clients. It just stresses me out personally, and this might be it for you too. But if I tell both clients, hey, by Friday, I got to go ahead and get you an update, I'm like, oh crap, now I got to work double hard and I got to swap back and forth all the time. Instead, what I've been doing, I've been telling one client, hey, I'll give you an update on Friday, and the other client, hey, I'll give you an update on, let's say, Monday or Tuesday. I'll give you an update, okay? Now, as you're going to be updating clients, I just want to advise you that yes, you need to remember that you are a human being and that things are going to happen. People die, pets get sick, kids get sick, you get sick too. You might have a really bad week, you might have a stressful day, whatever it is. If you are not going to be able to meet that deadline, then you need to communicate that to your clients so that they know about it. And one thing I'm going to advise you on is make sure you do it the day before, or if you're not going to be able to make it that day because of said emergency, make sure you tell them before, like, I don't know, midnight, so they're not waiting up for you thinking that you just ghosted them. The timing of your updates is critically important to you having an effective working relationship, because if you're not giving them updates, then they're just sitting there scratching their head going, what happened to my artist? Did they rip me off? And again, now you're negating that confidence that you previously instilled into them. Or if you're just starting out, your lack of timing in your communications is really gonna overall tank your relationship, which you don't want. And if you want to learn more about how to grow your art commissions business or how to be a better artist, make sure you watch these videos right here.